All right, you guys, we are live. This is Bunker Talk. Real people, real lives, just talking and meeting new people, finding people from different walks of life all over the place. Today, I have a new friend with me. We're sitting here. This is Talon, right?
Yeah.
I don't know your last name, so I'm not even going to try.
Pride.
Oh,
Alan Pride.
that's like a stage name.
I know. It's a pretty sweet name.
How'd you get that? Was that like married into or original?
No, actually, I did not take my husband's last name because Pride is way too cool of a last name.
Did you make him take yours? Like, join the Pride, babe.
He
Come on.
considered it. He considered it.
I would have done it.
Yeah.
It's a good last name. I would have been like, I'm joining the Pride.
Yeah, no, it's my dad's last name, and Talon is a region in Wales.
Oh,
And
there you go.
So my parents just took some extra letters out of it, and
You're just like, this is it. This is me.
yeah.
I like it. It's good. So basically, the whole concept of what we're doing is just talking, having a conversation, because I personally believe that that's how you grow. One of the things that changed my life the most was I had a lot of mentors and just kind of picked stuff up along the way. I never really was formally trained in anything. I was always just learning from people. And one of the things I realized is even if I knew how to do something, somebody else has done it a million times more than me. And if I listened, I could learn something. So I kind of learned a little bit along the way. And so this is kind of the same thing. I think that as we talk, hopefully people connect with it and get something from it. And plus, I heard my wife and you guys hang out here at Open Mic. We've never had a real conversation, which is awesome. And I was like, my wife said like, oh yeah, she wants to be a comedian. And I was like, what? Like, and me too. Like if I didn't have to stand up, I'd be in,
Yeah.
Stand up comedy is just so like much energy, you know, like I see Dane Cook and I'm like, oh, I couldn't do that for an hour. But so I just thought this would be an interesting conversation. And so where are you from?
I'm from Mitchell, so
What?
close
No way.
by. Born in Stratford Hospital, and live in Stratford now. So
Yeah.
Stratford,
You live
yeah.
right by Kaylee, right?
Yes, yeah,
There
we're
you go.
neighbors. Yeah.
Like back neighbors or side neighbors?
One house in between us. Yeah. So,
Got to just cut across the grass,
yeah.
you know?
We just kind of treat that backyard. There's no one living there at the moment, so we just treat it like it's
Community property.
just a walkway to each other's
The
house.
owner comes by, there's a barbecue happening in the backyard. We put in a pool. It's okay.
Yeah.
We got it.
Yeah, no, they're cool people. They know we're looking out for their house. So
That's good. So you live in Stratford. You're a mom
yes, I'm a mom of two.
too?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the new one and the young
Yeah,
one.
a 3-year-old and an almost 1-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Three's a good. I was aiming for 2.
Yeah.
And then they were like, baby A. And I was like, what do you mean A? I was like, why are you categorizing the baby? And then it was like, no, there's 2.
Yeah, that was a big fear of mine. So
Oh, no, yeah, twins. It was nuts. I don't even know.
yeah.
I don't, people that are like, I want twins so bad. I'm like, you haven't had twins.
Yeah. Come over to my house for a day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's good now. Now it's like, it's coasting. We're like starting to coast a little.
They're
'Cause
older and
they know how to use the Netflix,
Yeah.
you know, like my kids like know the password to my phone.
yeah.
I'm like, I didn't even tell you. Like, what did you do? Like sit here and hack it? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand. But so you live in Stratford, you have kids. What did you do before kids?
So actually my background is in social services, and I worked at a shelter for youth in Cambridge for like 5 or so years. Yeah. And
What?
yeah, it was a stressful job. The burnout rate is very high in a job like that.
Yeah.
But now actually I work in public service. But obviously I'm on maternity leave right now.
Yeah. But you worked as a social worker at a youth shelter.
Yeah, social services worker. I
Social-
don't have a
oh.
degree, just a diploma. I want to make that
They just
distinction.
add like a little thing on it so you can do the same job and get paid less. Perfect.
Well, actually, I feel like a lot of people with more education and the social workers may not even be making that much more than the social services workers.
Oh, really?
It's just a nonprofit. There's not a lot of
Yeah.
money to spread around.
Well, the reason why it spiked my interest was because I work sometimes with the Why Not Youth Center in Brantford.
Okay.
They have a drop-in and everything, and so that's my place. I love it.
Yeah. It was good. I mostly worked at the male shelter. The female shelter was a whole other bag of something else.
I love how everybody thinks guys are the worst, and then it's like, oh, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Drama.
Yeah.
One of my favorite thing about working with young people is they have no fear of being honest,
Yeah. Very true.
and like especially kids who like have hard lives, they're just
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
And I found that for me, it wasn't until I found purpose that I like started to change a bit, because I was like crazy. I was like ADD, like crazy, angry, messed up 13-year-old.
Yeah.
And then when I got into sound and lighting and all these things, that's when things changed for me. So when I went to the Brantford Youth Center, I was like, I did a songwriting thing with them.
Nice.
And like at first they were all like kind of like not too sure of me. Like the first night I think nobody came upstairs to write. And then like the second day there was like 15 kids. And it was really funny because this one guy like tried to, you know how they're measuring you out, right? They're trying to see like your reactions. Yeah. And I'm like, so what do you want to write about? He's like, we should write about depression. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. And he looks at me and I'm like, I'm sure lots of people have gone through depression. Like, what would you say to someone going through depression? And the guy like, he like looked inward, you know, and he was like, oh, yeah, I guess I would tell them like, it's going to be okay, you know? And I'm like, oh, cool. So we started writing, you know, nice. And it was just cool to like really see this group of kids like get so excited. Yeah. And like within a day, there was like 300 views on YouTube on it because they were like so excited to show everybody what they did, right?
Yeah.
So now they have a studio there. They have a recording studio.
Amazing.
Yeah. And there's kids. And then now they got a halfway house where like the kids who are too old to go to the drop-in, they're helping them like start life.
That's
so they
amazing.
have a guy's house now where they can go and live and learn how to live on their own and
cook and grocery shop and all that important stuff that sometimes we take for granted knowing how to do. So
I didn't even know this, but supposedly, like I've encountered a few of these people now. As they get older, instead of like being placed in group homes now, they're just given money. And so some of these kids are living in hotel rooms. I met a kid who's living in like a residency. Yeah. We're talking like a square room. Yeah. And it's like they're going back home to no one.
Exactly.
And nothing. And it's like we need things in our community to connect with those people. And that's what we do here at the Bunker. Hopefully, through like open mics and stuff, we're building community for all ages to come and feel safe and all that good stuff. So without the like officialness of like a drop-in or something like that, like because we can't be a drop-in.
Yeah, that would be hard. You should look into this thing that was created actually from by a guy in Cambridge. I can't remember his name, but it's called the Housing First model. And basically the whole concept of it is you get the person who's experiencing homelessness housing first, and then you continue to work with them.
Yeah,
From there, you don't just put them in the housing and then you're on your own now.
There you go.
And then that's when you can address things like if they're experiencing addiction or substance abuse issues, mental health issues.
You got to get them stable.
You've got it. It's like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So it's the first thing that you need to do.
I just want to say I have no idea what that is.
You don't know what the Maslow's hierarchy is?
No, I'm not educated.
Okay, it's like a pyramid, and it basically at the bottom is the base, like food, shelter, water, and then all the way up to the physiological aspects of life. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to be able to go up the pyramid unless you have those basic things. So that's kind of what the Housing First model is based on is you get shelter, you get food, and then you continue to work with the person experiencing the other issues. Even if it's just something as simple as learning how to cook, and you go into their housing and you help them with that, or connecting them with the mental health resources or whatever it is that they're experiencing to climb that pyramid, basically.
In your experience of working with young people, what was the thing that like probably like gave you the most? Either like an encounter with a young person or experience or maybe the whole thing.
Question.
So it doesn't need to be the thing, but like something that stuck with you.
I'm going to be honest. I found working in that type of environment really, really difficult because you're sometimes fighting with the management and the supervisors on a more progressive way to help these children, and you see things differently, but you're kind of stuck in what the system wants you to do, or what the management organization. What they want you to do. I'm not going to name what the organization was because I don't want to.
No, I understand.
do that, and so it was tough. It was like I felt like I was just hitting my head against a wall, and it was just like a revolving door of youth. And at the end of me there, my position was in rehousing and the Housing First model, and I saw other agencies in the area really adopting it and really going forth with it. And ours not wanting to do that, and for risk factors, liability, and stuff like that. And it's like the whole point of this Housing First model is to do it differently, to try. It's just Yeah, I probably shouldn't get it.
No, you know what though? It's good.
I prefer what I do now. I feel like I help more what I do now. I see more of a difference.
Yeah.
In working.
Well, it's
in
a good thing to
services
talk
than I
about
do
too, though,
in
because one of the things that I've realized is that programs only serve a purpose.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, like, say I want to help people and I develop a program and it's got core values, it's got all these things set in it. And then all of a sudden I can't help anybody outside of what I established. And then it doesn't become about helping people. It becomes about following the program.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till I was probably 20-something, I met a lady in Windsor named Carol Derbyshire. She started the hospice in Windsor. She was a nurse.
Yeah.
And I never met anybody before who wasn't bound by the program. Okay. She was just like, didn't care what the program said. She was going to help people. Yeah. And when she encountered people that needed help, she just helped them. Like she actually changed the definition in like their like whatever that is. They have like, there's like a binder that you have to set up when you're a nonprofit with like your operations and stuff in it. Yeah. She changed the definition from life-ending kind of disease to life-altering, so she could help more people.
Nice.
Because she was like, anything that, like, they started programs like music lessons for kids whose parents are going through life-altering diseases. Like, she met a girl once who needed a wig for her prom. Totally outside of what they do.
Yeah.
She found someone to fly her to Toronto, get her a wig, get her back, dressed up, makeup done, everything covered, all the costs, called her friends, got funding, just did it. And like the organization the whole time was like, but we don't do that. And she's like, well, we do today.
Yeah.
You know,
amazing.
Like, and I never met anybody like that. She was just like outside. It was like anytime they put up a wall, she was like, well, I'll just go over here.
Yeah.
You know, like, and even to the fact where she was around when AIDS broke out.
Okay.
And they were quarantining people because they didn't know enough about it.
Understand it. Yeah.
And her and some of the Windsor Hospital nurses, they just said, you know what? We're not letting people die alone. So we don't care if we die. We're going in with them. Yeah. And they went into like the quarantined area and would like hold their hand and talk to them. And before they knew more and more. So like just to meet someone like that was cool because it changed my view and even helped me in this stage of my life where I'm like, okay, I want to help people, but I don't want to have to jump through hoops.
Yeah.
And so I found a way to do that without having the hoops, you know?
Exactly.
Just doing it. I don't have to have a specific organization. I can do this. I can just talk to someone and find out that they were a youth worker.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I know the frustration part too, though.
Yeah.
All systems have that.
Yeah, it's hard. Not to say that this organization didn't do a lot of good and does do a lot of good. Absolutely, they do. And I worked with some amazing people, like my coworkers, and I also got to work with some and meet some amazing youth that were experiencing a lot of issues and really, I mean, stories that will stick with me for the rest of my life, and things that you would bring home at the end of the night and be thinking about and emotional about and I mean that's also kind of what I like about my 9-to-5 now. I just leave it there and I go home and I don't necessarily think about it until I'm back in, and that's kind of that. I did what I did for 5 years, and I think 5 years was my limit. Some people that do it for longer than that is like, wow, they got a lot of heart and a lot of stamina.
Well, and some people too have a way of like they have a tolerance for like heart stuff.
Yeah.
Like they don't take it on themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they do that. Like I've had such a Superman complex my whole life where I want to help people so bad that like I'll go to any length.
Yeah.
And it's just now that I'm learning like that's not healthy. You actually can't help people. They have to help themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
I can give them tools. I can give them options. I can create a safe environment for them, but I'm not the one who can give them what they need.
Yes, exactly.
So that was a big shift for me.
Yeah.
And I'm still shifting. I'm not perfect at it.
I mean, we're all growing constantly every day.
Harper was like climbing on the rock this morning and I'm like, it's slippery.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, she probably needs to fall a few times, but Daddy's always like, no.
Yeah.
It's because I broke everything.
Yeah.
I literally was in the hospital like my whole childhood. So
yeah, it's hard to not want to wrap our kids in a bubble wrap and put a helmet on their head and keep them as close to us as possible. But yeah, that's not healthy. That's healthy for
Not
them.
at
It's
all,
not healthy
no.
for us. Yeah.
And the best part, I remember meeting you and your like little like family.
Yeah.
We were playing hockey in the driveway. Your little boy was so cute, like because he's trying to play hockey
Yeah.
and he's like never played hockey. And then like the older boy is like talking to him like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I
Yeah.
was losing it.
Oh, kids are sweet.
Yeah, they're still a kid.
And crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, bedtime is wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I like to say nobody gaslights me quite like my 3-year-old.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
I feel like we could go into that. That's it.
Well, I mean, obviously innocently, but yeah, if, 3-year-olds will love bomb you and then take it away and
Yeah, it's true.
be cold, say some mean things, go back to the love bombing. But yeah, all innocently. They're just the OG gaslighters.
It's the way it goes. You got to get as much in as you can while you're cute, right?
Yeah.
And then if you do it now, like if I do it, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
I have no cuteness left to portray, But my girls, like, they can get away with anything with me. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Like even this morning, it was so funny this morning. I like walk in the kitchen and Harper's like, "Can I have one of those apple pouches?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." Chelsea walks in, "Why are you drinking an apple pouch?" And I'm like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "I just told her no." And I'm like, I fell into the trap. I never like remember to be like, did someone say no already?
Yeah.
Like, try to be on the same team. Not so good at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's life. Kids are smart, man.
Oh yeah, they know how to play parents against each other for sure.
Oh my gosh. So like we're all going through the COVID stuff. And my daughter has figured out that all she has to do to go home is say that her throat is sore.
Hilarious.
And so before she left in the morning, she's like 5. She asked my wife for a Ricola. It's like these little echinacea,
Yeah.
like they're like sweet candies. It's not she didn't have a sore throat. So she has one. She gets to the school and she goes up to her teacher. She's like, "Oh, my throat is sore. My mom gave me a medicine candy to soothe my sore throat." And so then the principal calls us to come pick her up because
Yeah.
like the protocol.
Exactly.
And we explain the whole story to her and she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, like go look at her right now. Does it look like she has a sore
Yeah,
throat?"
she's
running
fine.
around.
Yeah.
Like but she's just realized she'll be like we're like,
Yeah.
"Stop doing that." He's
Yeah.
like, "COVID rules, you coming home."
Yeah. That's funny. Smart.
So you're on maternity leave.
Mom maternity leave. It's quite the experience. It's my second time on maternity leave, but
Yeah.
different when you have a toddler at home and a baby.
Yeah, because your boy is what?
Well, he's 3, but won't start school until the fall. So
It's the life changer, the school starting.
yeah, he's in daycare 2 days a week. Or I wouldn't be able to get up in the morning if I didn't have that break.
Oh man, it's so crazy. Like the first day of school is like a big thing.
Yeah.
You're gonna like go through like a tornado of emotions.
Yeah, but I feel like it's so hard to be at home with a toddler and a baby, and I'm like, how do people do this? And then I look around, I'm like, oh yeah, people have at least 3 years between kids, and one of them's in school, and then you're just at home with the baby, and it's so much easier.
Yeah.
And for the rest of us that didn't have that space between, then we're like, damn it. Like,
I stretched that space pretty far. I think Haley
Yeah.
was like 6 or something. I was like, let's get one more time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I definitely, kids are just, it's a totally different life.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, and it's like the amount of energy it takes is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I wish I would have had kids when I was like 19
Yeah.
because I would have been able to handle it, but nope. Now I'm old,
Yeah.
but it's going good. So maternity leave you've been on, it's been good.
I mean, if we're gonna get deep about it.
Well,
I've been-
because we
been
had
going
talked
through
a little.
Some,
Yeah.
been going through some postpartum stuff. I did with the Reese when he was born too. First couple months were like the honeymoon stage, and it's like, oh, you have this beautiful newborn, and it's just like this overwhelming love that you're feeling for this small person, and not that I was experiencing the kind of postpartum where like any detachment or anything happened between what I was feeling for my son, but I got really anxious, a lot about like eco anxiety, like the world is going to end and climate change, and like how can I protect my child from this, and it like consumed my everyday. And so I'd, be going about learning how to be a new mom, and then also just feel like I need to just crawl up in the fetal position and just pretend like I don't know, like the world isn't falling apart. And that was pre-COVID. So like that, it was intense, but I know that a lot of it was hormonal, but I didn't really address it. Like I didn't really do anything positive with it. I just kind of wrote it out. And then it did eventually go away. I think mostly around the time I stopped breastfeeding. So that probably there's a connection there with the hormones and stuff. But
yeah.
Then I went back to work, and then COVID happened. And then, my husband and I were at home a lot without a lot to do.
Yeah.
Before you know it, now I'm pregnant again. Woohoo.
Oh, no.
And
COVID babies.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're going to see like a spike in childbirth because of COVID.
Yeah, I read online somebody saying, like, I'm coining it now, we're going to call them the coronials.
The coronials.
Not my joke, someone else's, but hilarious. And and then, I was anxious about am I going to have the same postpartum anxiety that I had the first time?
Yeah.
And again, in the first couple months, it was like totally fine. Like obviously it was hard, but I wasn't experiencing those same emotions. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks, and it was way worse. It wasn't just anxiety anymore. It was depression, and just like this overwhelming like feeling of like despair and sadness, and like I would still get up every day and do what I needed to do for my baby and my 3-year-old. Well, he was 2 at the time, and I was still momming. I wasn't not momming, but I was just doing it with like this hole in my chest, and there were days when like I just couldn't stop crying, and like I didn't understand. It was different than the first time. And actually, a friend of mine she has kids the same age as me, and she was she'd gone through the same kind of thing. She actually had postpartum insomnia, which is not something that's really talked about, but like really messes with you. And like imagine, like it's already hard enough not getting enough sleep with a newborn baby or 2 kids. And then you add in that you literally can't sleep even when they're sleeping. And it just, it really, really messed with her mental health. And I think it led, she thinks that kind of is what led into the depression for her too. And she was the one who really called me out on me not addressing it. And she's like, listen, you need to try medication. You need to try therapy. You need to do something to pull yourself out of this hole. Like you can't just ride it out again.
Yeah,
and
sometimes we just don't want to deal with things.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying that like medication is for everybody, but so I did go and I talked to my doctor, and she put me on a medication, and it made me so sick. Like just like the first day that I took it, I threw up for the next 3 days, and like I couldn't get out of bed, and like I lost like a lot of my milk production, and I lost like a ton of weight. I couldn't even keep water down. My husband and my mom had me drinking Pedialyte freezies because they were worried they were going to have to take me to the hospital and put me on an IV. And so
he is the blueberry.
Yes. And so after that, I was like, I don't want to try any more medication. Like I'm just going to ride this out and stuff. I'll try exercise. I'll try diet, which is also something you need to it's a whole bag of things you need to try to pull yourself out of depression or anxiety. And it's not just one thing or another, but it was a couple more months of me going through it when my friend was like, listen, try another medication. I had to try 5 medications before I found the one that worked for me, right? And so I went back to my doctor, and I got another medication, and she said it would take like 6 weeks before it took effect, and it did right around the 6-week mark. I think it was right around like Christmas time. And wow, I felt like myself again. Like I really felt like myself again. And again, and also working in there like therapy and exercise and diet and being social is a big thing. Like, if I was like hiding indoors all the time, like I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to talk to anybody. And I'm a very social, outgoing person, and I have a lot of friends, and it was just, I had to push myself to do that too. And once I did, I really felt a lot better. And even just like to eat, because I was so skinny. And, people kept saying things to me like, oh, look at you got your body back so fast after having a baby and stuff. And I'm like, listen, like this wasn't a healthy thing that happened to me. Like because of my anxiety and depression, like I couldn't eat. And
it's not like you were going out and be like, P90 puke.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't really like when anybody comments on anybody's body at all, let alone whether it's you're too skinny or you're overweight or whatever. Like, just don't comment on my body. Like, it just doesn't need to be said. But
I'm not Alexis.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like, I also, because I like to joke and I like humor, and I find humor to be a great way to cope with stuff. But also the distinction needs to be made that you shouldn't use humor to deflect from going through difficult situations. You using it to cope, yes, but using it to deflect is, you still need to have the difficult conversations with yourself, with your loved ones, with your supports. And I was very lucky to have a lot of support. My husband, my friends, my family. I mean, there's still stigma around postpartum stuff. And even, it's not even just moms that go through it. Dads go through it too, parents and anybody in between. Like, you know what I mean? You can be affected by it even if you weren't the one who carried the baby, right? Like, it's not always all hormonal stuff, but my husband, he's so good about it. And he's so good at, even on my worst days, at making me laugh. Like, and we're really big on laughing at ourselves. So this was not him putting me down. This was just him being hilarious. But like, but when I had lost all that, I love
the disclaimer.
Yeah. When I had lost all that weight and stuff, and we were joking about, and we're getting back into like having sex again and stuff post baby and stuff, and him making jokes. He's a mechanic, being like, well, if I wanted to make love to a bag of wrenches, I would have stayed at work.
Oh wow.
No, that's what the disclaimer is. I laughed. It was hilarious. Like, he's just funny like that, and we poke fun at each other and we poke fun at ourselves, and that's part of how I cope with things that I'm going through. That's love right there. I need to laugh about it, and you know what I mean. I got a lot of friends who like to make fun of my 5 foot. On a good day, I'm more like 4'11" and 3/4, but I don't like to admit that. Poke fun at my height, and they know they're gonna get a laugh out of me. Like, you gotta just laugh about life sometimes. And
well, I think one of the cool things with like recent social media events, Chris Rock actually had a really cool statement where he was like, true comedy isn't poking fun at something, but finding the things in life that you can't control and finding a way to make people laugh with them, kind of thing. I'm paraphrasing. It's not an exact quote, so don't smack me. Yeah. But sorry, I had to. It was right there. But
I won't hit you at all on the podcast.
Yeah. Keep my jokes at you.
Yeah. Oh.
But but it was just, I really liked that quote because it was like he realized that, and like that's the thing. Comedy is one of these things where they're really like, everyone's like, there's a line. It's like, is there?
Yeah, I don't want there to be a line in comedy.
Yeah,
screw the line. Let's have a laugh. Like, let's push boundaries. Like,
yeah, and even the fact that it led to like everything that happened, it's still kind of like it still did what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It invoked emotion.
Yeah.
Comedy's supposed to invoke emotion.
Exactly.
Like, I was so sad when like Dane Cook made a joke and it like made him disappear for 10 years. Yeah. Like, like that's ridiculous. And like, I just found him on TikTok now. He does TikTok lives for and there's like 3 million people on his TikTok. I'm like,
still got a following.
Yeah, no joke. Eh?
What I love about a lot of comedians, like for example, Sarah Silverman, she's a great example of this. Go. Yeah. She's my favorite. But is that she's a very liberal, progressive person who is forever, and she likes to point out, forever changing, forever growing and learning and educating herself and educating others. And you can be that. You can be progressive, all that, and you can also be funny. Like, there's, you know what I mean? You can be a good person with good morals and understanding and I don't know, like accountability and integrity, and you can also make hilarious jokes that might offend people. Like, there can be both. Because when you're making the jokes, you're making the comedy, that's not maybe how you really feel about, like, if we're going to go into the Chris Rock situation, I'm sure that's not how he really feels about alopecia. I'm sure he wouldn't seriously say that to somebody. He's probably a very good person, and he just wanted to make some people laugh. And again, that's where I feel like humor, like laughter, is the best medicine for things. And being able to look at a difficult situation and find the humor in it is so important. And yeah.
And I honestly, I love the way that, like, obviously you can tell just from the situation. That guy has no maliciousness in him whatsoever. He's Chris Rock. He's a loving dude. Like, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And so, like, I love, like, just, like, the whole way, like, he responded, where he's just like, hey, I messed up.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to offend anybody, you know. And I don't think he needed to apologize, because it wasn't, honestly, like, in my opinion, he wasn't doing what people are making it out to be.
Yeah.
But even if he was,
Yeah.
you know, like, I had a friend who was dying when I was a teenager, and he cracked jokes about it all the time. Like, all the time. And then one of our friends cracked a joke, and it hit the wrong way, the wrong day, and he got really, like, upset, right?
Yeah.
And my buddy just apologized, said, hey. And then, like, the next day he came back to him and said, you know what? You didn't really need to apologize. It wasn't about you. I was going through something that day, and it hit me the wrong way. And I really, that experience sort of really showed me, like, you know, it's comedy.
Yeah.
It's supposed to invoke emotion.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to invoke the wrong
And, like,
emotion.
what a mature way those two people dealt with it. Like,
Yeah.
That's the whole situation. Wow.
Yeah, you know, and like, we were young. Like, we were like 16, 17 years old, right?
Yeah.
But it was just like, you know, someday somebody's having a bad day.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, and I think, like, when people, the over glorification of these things is what just gets ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like, I always liked Eddie Murphy. I thought he was hilarious. But, like, he couldn't be a comedian the same way today that he was in Delirious.
Yeah.
Like, they would just crucify him. Like, you know what I mean? Because he went after everybody and just had fun with it. But, like, it was very offensive.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's I don't understand the fear of being offended. Like, why don't we like being offended? It's just offense. Like, it's just like, oh, I didn't like that. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like that's necessary sometimes to shake people and make them think in different ways.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people's reactions to things, negative reaction things, do come from fear, right? Another thing Sarah Silverman talks about on her podcast. If anybody wanted to subscribe to a great podcast, it's Sarah Silverman.
We're like plugging people now.
But that the root of so many negative reactions is fear. It's all based in fear.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you just got to think about that when you notice someone's being offended or going through something or having a reaction. Yeah.
I noticed one time I watched a thing where, like, she even, like, she was doing a roast or something, and all the jokes made about her were her age.
Yeah.
And it really bugged her. Because she was like, nobody ever makes fun of a dude comedian for his age. Why am I, like, I'm not even that old. Like, and she's stunning. Like, she's a beautiful person too. Like, and she doesn't look old. She's aging like a unicorn.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Exactly.
You know, but, like, it was funny that was the joke.
Yeah.
And it was like, it really, like, I think as we move forward, like, I'm realizing more and more every day. Like, I remember the show Morning Glory. Did you see that? The Me Too kind of TV show that came out on Apple.
Oh, I love that, and it's the morning show.
The morning show, whatever.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I watched that, and all of a sudden, like, I realized things in my life that I didn't realize someone else was feeling uncomfortable, and they were trying to voice it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap! Like, why didn't anybody talk about this?
Yeah.
You know, like, because I didn't know. I didn't learn about girls from girls.
Yeah.
I learned about girls from dudes
Yeah. Exactly.
who knew nothing about girls.
I often find myself in the headspace or the, lost in thought of situations that I mean, everyone does this, but situations that I wish I could go back to and change what I said, how I reacted, especially when you're younger and you just don't know. Right. And I think, oh man, like I really dealt with that the wrong way. I really might've hurt that person. I really might've, you can't go back in time. All you can do is go forward and just think of it as an opportunity to not do it that way anymore and approach it better. And that's a good thing to apply to parenting too, right? Like, like sometimes you're trying so hard not to lose it on your kids, like to not yell and scream and be upset or whatever. But you have to look at it as an opportunity that, like, there's going to be many more opportunities for me to deal with this in a more calm way, in a more mature way that's going to be better for my 3-year-old, better for me. And and that's just something I'm working on.
Well, I found for me one of the things that helped, like, because, like, my dad was really messed up, and, like, things happened in the past and stuff. And I remember the first time Haley was probably about, like, 4 or 5, and we were sitting on a couch, and she was, like, hugging my shoulder. And, like, I just realized, like, I never sat on a couch with my dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so weird, because, like, my kids have, like, if I'm laying down or sitting on a couch, I'm smothered.
Yeah,
like, it's
they're
that
all over
simple.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, And I never had that. And so, but yet I realized I'm still the worst dad they're ever going to have because I'm the only dad they're going to have. The only grid they're going to grow up with is me. And so when they're 16, they're going to be like, remember that time that you like yelled at me? And I'll be like, yes, I'm so sorry. You know, like, yeah, remember the time my dad whipped me across the floor and hit my head off the fridge? Oh, yeah, no, you don't, because I didn't do that to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing is everybody's doing the best they can with what they can.
Yeah.
And or they're going through something we don't understand.
Exactly.
Or that really changed my life. Like my dad showed up after I got married in my town and we hung out for like a year. And we had to hang out at his apartment because he scared the crap out of my wife. She came home. He had like joints on the table and he was all drunk and messed up. So I was like, we'll hang out at your place. And, I got to hear the stories from his side.
Yeah.
And realize like his whole mindset was, you're better off without me. It wasn't, I don't want you.
Yeah. And
it really changed a lot of pain I carried for a long time to realize like, he was actually like not being there for me out of wanting to be there for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And like in his world, like I remember asking him about certain things and he's just like, I was doing a lot of drugs. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa, like how does that feel?
Yeah.
To not even remember the bad stuff and know that it happened.
Yeah.
And like one of the coolest things about my dad was he didn't hide from that, like the failure part. Yeah. He didn't pretend.
Yeah.
Like he knew why like we hadn't called.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knew why he wasn't close with my brothers and things like that. Or maybe they were, I don't know. I don't know the relationship. But you know what I mean? Like I like that about him. It like taught me something where it's like, you know what? Even if you mess up, don't try to not own it. Just own it.
Yeah. Jeez, that's funny. I have a similar situation with my biological dad, and I don't think he really understands what it was like for me growing up and his weird in and outs of mine and my brother's life and stuff like that. And we talk. God, I hope he doesn't hear this podcast. This will hurt his feelings. But yeah, I don't think he really has. I don't think he even has the ability to understand what it was like growing up without him, and some messed up stuff that me and my brother witnessed and everything. So that's funny. I think that is really amazing that your dad has the ability to
just own it. Yeah,
to own it and not pretend like it didn't happen.
Well, and that's one of the things for me. Like I've made a lot of not intelligent choices in my life, and I just realized that you can't run from bad choices.
Yeah,
you made them; they're there, and so you can either learn from them or not. Yeah. It's that simple. And the only way to really learn from it is to be honest about it.
Yeah.
And so it sucks. It's not fun. But it's something I learned along the way that's helped me to grow and to realize. And then this lady I met at a gig at the Hub, she was like a self-help person. The one day on her Facebook, she had this post. It was so powerful. She said, you have no obligation to be who you were 2 minutes ago.
I like that. Yeah.
And so and I've had some encounters of like an inward kind of spiritual kind. And one time I saw like this almost like a waterfall.
Yeah.
And it was going into like a black hole in the middle of space. It was really weird. And I was like, what is this? And I'm having this experience. And I felt like it was time.
Yeah.
Time's gone. Yesterday's just gone.
Yeah.
Like, go get it for me. You can't. The only place that yesterday exists is in my memory.
Yeah.
And if I'm living out of memory, I'm missing out on the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss out on the moment because the moment is where life is.
Yeah.
And so we're all living out of our past or our future, either in fear or hope or whatever, instead of spending that time right in the moment, right where we're at, and finding life, real life in the moment,
I agree. Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to do now is just not escape.
Yeah.
And not allow experience to rule my life.
Yes.
Because guess what? It'll be a totally different experience this time.
Yeah. I also strongly believe in that it's up to us how we feel about our experiences shaped us and stuff like that, but it's up to us to decide how we feel about something. You know what I mean? Like, how do I explain this? my mom's probably going to hear this. She's not going to like this either. But for example, growing up, she said a lot of stuff to me that kind of hurt me self-esteem wise. But I got to a certain point. I grew up and decided, you know what, I'm not going to let, it's up to me how I feel about myself. I can't blame my mother for comments that she made when I was younger or whatever. You know what I mean? It's up to me to decide how I feel about myself, and I need to take responsibility for that. So yeah, it's up to me to decide in the moment how I'm going to feel, and I'm not let what people have said to me in the past or my past experiences define how I feel right now. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and you can find the gold in it too, which is really jacked up. Because that's like a whole other like step, right? Where it's like, I remember one time I was vacuuming at this place where I was working. I was an intern, and like someone came up to me and they're like, "Why do you vacuum like that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "The lines are like perfectly straight," and it was because my stepdad was like beyond OCD. Yeah. We weren't allowed to like walk on the vacuumed carpet, like. You know, his like cleanness was like his most priority, and we never really connected very well, and you know there was a lot of like just issues in our home and stuff. But it was like all of a sudden that day I realized like, holy crap, I learned how to vacuum from that guy. You know, like, and it's something so small, but I cut the grass the same way, right? Like perfectly straight lines, like, you know. And I realized that in his dysfunction, it was out of a place of trying to instill something good. Yeah. You know, and that's a lot of especially with parents, like, you know, it's so hard. Yeah. Because you don't know. Like I've had to like kind of go inward to learn because I don't have a dad figure to learn from other than probably like my grandpa or like my good friends who are a little bit older than me. So like I had to like spend time like when I say go inward, for me, that's God. I don't want to just throw the God thing out there, but it's me. That's my life. I'm not judging anybody. Don't want anybody to listen. Just, you know, relax. I'm still funny. But so one of the things I felt was if I can learn to not react when my kids do something, I'll be the one thing that stays the same. Yes. And so I'm trying really hard at that, not always succeeding like when they're on the rock, right? Yeah. Get off the rock! You know, but when they come to me and tell me something, I try not to react, or when I catch them doing something, because I want them to feel safe to be able to tell me whatever, and I'm not going to freak out, right? Yeah. So like, but like I didn't learn that from parenting. Yeah. I learned that from looking at my life and allowing what was in me to kind of teach me, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we do have to be the safe space for our kids, right? Like, sometimes at the end of the day, Zach and I, my husband, we really sit there and reflect on like how we dealt with a parenting issue that day. And again, just like, could we have dealt with it better? Like, and it's really important as a parent to be constantly growing and changing, and to just always keep in mind, you are your kids' everything. You are their safe space. You're everything to them. And so to always be thinking about it and thinking about your reaction. And I mean, we listen to parenting books on audio when we're doing stuff around the house, just to give ourselves more tools and more knowledge, because
I should totally do that. Yeah. I just go inward. I'm like, I don't want to read.
There's a great one, how
books.
to talk to little kids so they listen. That is a fantastic book, and I cannot remember who wrote it, but it's a great book. But
did it work? Like it might have been a good book, but does it work?
That's my question. There's not one size fits all for how to deal with kids, right? They're different, but there's ways that you can
shine light on things for you.
Yeah, exactly. But and I also just want to make a real point of like not putting down my mom. She was a wonderful mom and is a wonderful mom and parent, and my dad, my biological dad, and I, we do talk and have a decent relationship. And I am lucky enough to have a stepfather that is a great role model and an amazing person. And I can't always talk to my mom about things. We don't have that kind of relationship, and she's not that kind of person about the deep stuff. But my stepdad, I can, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so important to have that. And I also, my grandmother and I are very close. We're much more similar than my mom and I are. And so I also have that safe space too. Not to say that my mom's in a safe space, but
It's so funny
Oh my
when we
God, she's
do
going to
these
listen to
things.
this and she's going to be so offended. I'm
No.
so sorry, Mom. I love you so much. You're a great mom. But we're different people. We are.
Yeah.
We're very different people. And she certainly does not understand the postpartum stuff. She, when I've tried to talk to her about it before, she just says things like, "Oh, I didn't have any of that when I had kids and stuff." And she's not even willing to try to see it from my perspective. She's just, her idea is just kind of like, put on your big girl pants and deal with it. And like, she doesn't understand how that's very hurtful to hear. And even like, so I had a lot of postpartum hair loss, like a lot of, I don't know if your wife experienced that. I have a lot of friends that did.
Well, I didn't notice if she,
But
she probably wasn't going to tell me, hey, I'm losing my hair.
Well, she would have told you if it was happening. It doesn't happen to everyone, but it comes out like in clumps in the shower, and like you get bald spots, and like it's all grown back now, thank goodness. But it can be really traumatic. And again, trying to talk to my mom about it, and her response is just like, I didn't have any of that. Like, I'm like, okay, but I want to talk about it because it's hard for me right now.
Well, and one of the things I realized was what we go through, the culture that we're a part of, and all these things really do influence us.
Yeah.
So like my grandma, right? The most amazing woman ever born to a man. I just love her. She's hilarious.
You haven't met my grandma then. I think we'll have a grandma competition here because mine's the most.
But my grandma has she never, I don't even know if we ever heard like her say, I love you.
Really?
But like you knew she loved you.
Yeah.
And she was crazy, but like awesome at the same time. Like I remember her taking 11 grandchildren in one minivan that seats 7 to a theater Christmas Eve to watch Toy Story.
Amazing.
Popcorn for everyone, but she didn't know how to connect on the emotional level per se. But she really showed that she loved you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and she was strong and bullheaded and got everything she needed and didn't care. Like, she just did stuff. Like, she was nuts. Like, I remember she bought me a harmonica once, and like she went to a music store, and it's like $100 harmonica.
Yeah.
She walks out with $50, like paid for it. Like she could do that at a Walmart.
Just
like she just had this way of like I remember her, like she would just show up with a new truck for my grandpa, and we're all like, how did she get that? You know, like she just had this way of just acts of love were really her thing.
Instead of words, it was her actions.
Yeah, and as I got older, I realized more and more how much she loved her family, how much she loved us, and yeah, maybe we didn't get it in the way we wanted it.
Yeah.
But if you can learn to allow people to have a process, allow people to have their stuff. It's like even my dad, like I remember the first time he ever saw me play music, I was 18. I was playing this like bar called A Bars. It was on like the waterfront, big stage. And the whole time he just like tried to talk to my mom.
Yeah.
Had no interest in seeing me play.
Yeah.
And it was like devastating because it was like my whole life I had this special gift that I thought when my dad saw, I was going to be important.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no, not at all, you know? Yeah. But then I realized that I was projecting all these things I needed at him. Yeah. And when I stopped doing that, he started giving me everything I needed. Yeah. He would call me at like 2 a.m. drunk and be like, hey, I need you to mail a CD to this lady because I've been telling her about your music, you know? And I'm like, you talk to people about my music? You know what I mean? Like, and he gave me everything I needed once I didn't need it.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's almost like the need for them to be something stops them from being it.
Yeah, I think very similar. My mom and I definitely. But yeah, again, my mom, oh my God, she's going to listen to this. You're an amazing person, Mom. I love you very much.
You know what? We're like 48 minutes in, so we're probably safe.
Yeah, maybe she won't get this far into it.
She'll get like 3. She'll hit the postpartum part and be like, okay.
Yeah, she's at it. She's heard enough of this.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, and my grandma, she is something else. She's watching my 11-month-old right now. She's 80, but she's a very spry 80. She's a very young 80. And she is just like this sophisticated, elegant, funny woman. Like, she's not your typical grandma of like, I want to play cards and knit and stuff like that. Although that's my favorite kind of grandma. I just want to put that out there. Other than my grandma, she's my favorite grandma. But I love to play cards and knit.
I'm down as long as it's blackjack and you're knitting a gun holster.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. But my grandma is, she's intelligent and she's And she's so witty, and she cooks like you wouldn't believe. She was actually the director of administration for the Stratford Chef School for quite a number of years. That's in the office, is not cooking, but I mean what she did there for that organization, and the amount of people that know her and love her just from being connected to her through chef school is just like overwhelming. She has so many friends, a lot of younger friends because they were her students. And
you got to bring her out.
That. Oh my God, my grandma is just my favorite person in the whole entire world. She's anybody's favorite person. She's definitely my 3-year-old's favorite person. But all of my friends, everybody that knows her, she's just the best. I cannot say enough good things about my grandma. And we tell each other we love each other every day. We Facebook every day. She's on Facebook, so
she's on the Facebook. She'll probably see this then when you share it.
Yeah, exactly. She'll
watch it.
She'll watch it.
She'll be like, I saw you.
And she'll give me heck for saying things about my mom. Again, Mom, I love you. Oh, I feel so bad about that. Okay.
You know what? Honestly, it's so hard. Like I remember, I've done a lot of stuff from like the church aspect and things like that. And I remember sharing about a time when I like cut myself and things like this. And then I got like a call, and it was like my mom, and she was like really like taken back because I shared something so private that not even some of my family knew. And they like called her, why didn't you tell us this was going, like, they freaked out. And I understood what my mom was going through, and I felt rough because I'm like, oh man, she's like, feeling exposed. But I had to just accept that this is my story, and this is how I felt it, and this is how I lived it, and I'm sorry if that doesn't feel great all the time. But I love you and I honor you, but at the same time I feel that sharing my story helps people. And so I know it's not fun to relive, and I know it's not fun to hear, but I got to be me. And that's just what I'm going to do. And it's no, just because I experience something a certain way doesn't mean that that's the intent of the person. Exactly. And that's what I really like. That's what I took away when you're like, Mom, I love you. It's like, it's because you know that she is a loving, amazing mom. And so you don't want to shine her in any type of light. But at that moment, in that day, on that moment, that was the experience that you had.
Exactly.
And that's your story. And it's like when my dad passed away, I wrote a song, and I sang it at his funeral. I don't know how everybody felt about it, but it was very honest. And it was about, wishing and missing what I didn't have, which was him. And then also saying, but I hold on to what we did have. But I wasn't going to change what happened because that's what happened. You know what I mean? Like, and I experienced it a certain way, and that's not wrong.
Exactly.
Now, that doesn't mean that was his intent or whatever, but that's what I felt. And I feel like he would probably dig the song.
Yeah, he probably would. Yeah. And
like the one line's really cool. It's like, I'm not turning this sinner into a saint,
Yeah.
And I feel like people do that, like out of this fear of hurting people. They don't express who they are and what they're going through. And it's like, just because you feel something doesn't mean that's what the other person is or did.
Exactly.
It's just what you experienced.
Exactly. And also, along with that is that, they may not have any idea because they just have the best of intentions. You know what I mean? So they might have no clue whatsoever that they have hurt you this way or made you feel this way. And
well, plus we didn't grow up in tough love culture as much as they did.
Yeah, exactly.
Like tough love was like a legit teaching. Like, you got to hit them once or twice to show me you love them, it was a very different world 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm excited at where things are going. I find it so eye-opening when I meet young people, and like, I'm honest with them. Like I told the kids at the youth center, I'm like, hey, I love you, but I'm old. And I don't understand pronouns. I don't even know what they are. I didn't go to English. What's a noun? Don't even know. So tell me your name, and I'll call you by that. If I get your pronoun wrong, forgive me. I love you. You're awesome. I accept you. You can be whatever you want to be. I'm not trying to put anything on you. I'm just old.
And I think that they probably appreciate you making that statement. Like, I'm trying. I might mess it up, and I'm sorry. And I think anybody who goes by a different pronoun other than he or she would be very, I don't know, touched that somebody would care enough to be like, hey, I'm learning and
I'm just old.
I'm gonna make the mistakes because I'm old, but I
grew up old. Like when I was 6, I was watching John Wayne movies. All right, like we grew up in a different decade. Like I thought being a dude was not crying and punching your buddy. Like you know what I mean. And then today I realized that all this stuff is just constructs that we've built.
Yes.
And people have feelings and real emotions, and
yes.
we just need to create room for people to be who they are and be where they are, and not put our thing on them.
Exactly.
And same, don't put your thing on me. You know, like let's just all accept each other, love each other, and move on. Like I don't it doesn't bother me. Like and like some of the stuff I watch is pretty wild. Like I love Joe Rogan. I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan.
Are you?
I am because I know it's so bad. He's such a
no comment. I got no comment.
It's okay. You can tear Joe Rogan. He wouldn't even mind. He'd probably love it.
No.
But I like it because I find I like when people talk. I do. And I've learned like if you really want to see the real Joe Rogan, go watch Meat Eater. It's a hunting show on Netflix. And when he goes hunting, he's just like this like cool, chill, you know, like he's not like just like a big like I'm a man guy. Like he's a really chill dude. I like him. But I love his podcast. I've had so many things make me think different.
Yeah.
You know, and things offend me. I love being offended. That's like my favorite thing.
Yeah, I like to be offended too. I know.
I want to get mad at something, you know?
Yeah. True.
I love that scene in 1,000 Ways to Die in the West where he's like, nothing brings people together like mutual hate.
Yeah.
He's like, I just laughed.
Seth MacFarlane is hilarious. He's great. I really like him a lot.
Oh, that movie ruined me. Like there's scenes in that movie where like Charlize Theron actually like laughs and she loses it, and you could tell it's not acting.
Yeah, that she broke or whatever they call it.
Yeah, like and they kept it.
Yeah,
like when they were doing like the scene with the gophers or whatever. Like
I can't remember that one.
Oh, you got to watch it again.
I have seen it a couple times, but it's been a while. That's a Sarah Silverman one.
Yeah, she's so funny in that movie.
Yeah, she's funny in anything. She's just my favorite.
I'm not endorsing the movie or anything. Don't get mad at me, but
also like going through like all the postpartum stuff. I listen to a lot of podcasts as I'm making meals and cleaning the house and doing mom duties, and I like to listen to ones that make me think and make me laugh. So that's why I really like hers. I also listen to a lot of true crime ones.
True crime.
And I'm a little bit worried that like my kids are going to become serial killers because in the background of them like playing and stuff, like they hear like some morbid stuff that maybe
maybe I should
not have this on.
Honey, I need earbuds.
Yeah, actually, very true. But then the problem if I put in headphones,
then you can't hear the kids.
I can't hear what they're doing. Like,
it's true.
I got to know what that 3-year-old is doing. Like
at all moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I went downstairs the other day. I looked at the TV. It was off. Like, and I have like a 4K TV.
Yeah.
And there's just handprints all over it. I'm like, you climbed on the TV stand to then touch my TV.
Yeah.
I realize it's not my TV anymore.
I joke that I like to tell my kids are the reason that we can't have nice things, but actually my husband is the reason we can't have nice things because he's a Wreck-It Ralph, as I like to call him.
There we go.
He wrecks everything. He does not on purpose, not most of the time anyways, he does not realize his own strength, but like he'll be moving the TV from one room to another and he's like, oh shoot, the screen's cracked. I don't know what happened. Or like, I sat on the remote and it's broken. I don't know what happened. One time he didn't realize my door was locked on my car and pulled the door handle and it came right off in his hand. And I'm like, oh, man.
Did you marry the Incredible Hulk? Or?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Some gamma radio. He stood near the microwave too much, and now he's just super strong.
Yeah.
I'm definitely down for superhero abilities.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice if we could all have something?
I think moms should just like totally steal the Flash's ability because then you could get like everything done like instantly.
Okay, if you talk to any mom, they would definitely be like invisibility. Is then maybe we could go to the bathroom alone for a second.
Just in the bathroom, no one sees you. They just walk by.
I spend a good part of my day trying to hide from my children. I'm not going to lie about it. Invisibility would be great.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think I would go for the. I don't know, man. It's so hard. There's so many good like powers out there.
Yeah.
But like, I love the Wolverine healing thing.
Yeah, that's a good
except
one.
Then you never die, so that's kind of hard. But I'm definitely down for the healing thing. That was cool. But yeah, no, it's wild. Like, how much of you changes when you have kids, like instantly. But then, like, I'm trying to remember this, and this is a hard one. remembering that I'm still a person.
Yes.
And that my wife's still a person.
Yeah.
And that if we're not careful, we're going to get to the end of this thing where they leave us and we don't know who we are or who we're with anymore.
So true. So true.
And I'm like, and I'm not good at being married at all. Like, I'm horrible at it. And I'm like trying to learn and trying to change every day. But yeah, that's the one thing I'm just like, man, like I don't want her to lose herself. I don't want me to lose myself. But I also want to be like this amazing parent. And it's like, how do you do that? There's so much to do.
It's a balancing act, and it's impossible. It's so hard. And Zach says the same thing. He's so supportive and so sweet, and he very much wants me to like, you know, like just coming to the bunker on Wednesday nights for like live music. Like honestly, to all the moms and parents out there, dads too. It's great to come here and, you know, Zach stays home with the kids and I come here and we just sit with a bunch of moms and we're just like, oh my God, how nice is this to be out of the house? And we're just having tea and coffee and listening to live music. And it's so nice because if you don't get out and do things like that things that don't involve your children, yes, you start to lose yourself. And not just moms, dads, parents in general. When you become a parent, you just immediately lose so much of yourself. And it's not necessarily a bad thing because, yeah, you get to have this new journey, adventure of being a parent, but you lose so much of yourself. And if you're not careful...
Tasha put a yes with the hands up.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Tasha. Then, you know, especially with postpartum stuff, you'll just start to feel like a shell of who you were before. And it's a slippery slope. And you got to put the work in to not go down that slope. One
of the things that I've noticed with guys is we have this desire, like I know even myself, like I'm trying to build the bunker, I'm trying to do all these things. And I know like we push ourselves to such a level for the hopes that it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
And like I have to be so careful. So like even like this morning, like I'll take the chance to go wake my daughter up in bed.
Yeah.
Even though I'm tired. I don't want to walk up to her room. Chelsea's called her 3 times. She hasn't come. So I'm like going to go like tickle her and like have a moment.
Yeah.
Because I know like I'm going to be working my butt off later.
Yeah.
You know, and I see a lot of guys and they're working like 80 hours a week and they're doing their best to provide.
Yeah.
They're really trying. Like they want to be more. Yeah. But they're not aware that in that you might lose something too. Yeah, everything costs something.
Yeah. It's true.
You know, and it's so hard to find the balance. Like, I remember even when me and Chelsea, like, in the beginning, I was like, if I have to choose between, like, stuff and time, I'm okay with being poor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'd rather have less stuff and, like, struggle than have no time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, and I was very lucky to watch my kids all grow up and be there to the point where I know now, like, when I'm old and I'm shriveled up and covered in tattoos, laying on a bed, I'm not going to be going, I wish I would have spent more time when they were little. Like, exactly. I got those memories. They are in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love that, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like so many people miss out on so much, and then they get to the place where they have time, and they missed out on all the stuff they wanted.
Yeah.
And it's like, well... And it's partly our society, right? Like houses in Stratford are $700,000 for like.
We should not even get into the housing market. Yeah. Oh, it's disgusting.
Oh, it's horrible. Like, and for what? Like, why are we? And like, it's not like the incomes just went skyrocketing. No, just cost of living. You know, like,
exactly.
And so it's like really realizing that there has to be this balance.
Yeah.
And that you like really like everything's balanced, and it's so crazy. Like, you know, my friend Norlene's like, those younger years are so precious. Yeah. She's right. But a lot of my friends are on, so yeah.
Cory's friends.
People are watching. It's the first one. It's our first bunker talk session.
Yeah.
So we haven't really touched it too much, but what made you want to be a comedian?
Oh my God, it's so funny that you say that. So it was just this thing I said in passing with the girls. So,
I know, but I'm going to make you a comedian.
You're
now.
So funny. So like, so recently, because I met you and your wife through my neighbor Kaylee, who I met when we moved into our house in the fall, and they moved into theirs in the summer, and like I really like I have a lot of friends, but I have a few in Stratford. I don't have that many in Stratford. A lot of them are in Kitchener-Waterloo. Shout out to my friends in Stratford. But I've really enjoyed getting to know Kaylee and her group of friends, which is Chelsea and at Chelsea's birthday party, I got to meet a lot of her friends there too, and that's a lot of the crew who comes to the bunker. And I don't know, they just think I'm freaking hilarious, Cory. They just think I'm really funny, and it's really good for my self-esteem. Thank you, ladies. And I just at one point said like, "Oh, my dream job would be to be a stand-up comedian," and they're just like, "You should do it." But,
I think you should.
But I know nothing about it. Like I know nothing. I think that stand-up comedy is an art, and it needs to be worked at, and it needs to be perfected in timing and bits and like what a nightmare it would be to get up on stage and just flop.
You know what though? Honestly, we had a comedian come to an event here.
Yeah.
And it didn't go over so well.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, you definitely heard about it. And I personally thought the guy had some really funny stuff, and then I felt like he read the room a little wrong. Yeah. And so he came up to me at the end and he goes, "Hey, do you have that videoed?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can you send it to me? Because I have not sucked this bad in so long. I want to watch it again." And I think that, like, yes, there is an art. Yes, there is being clever and having stuff figured out and all that stuff. But there's also, like, just this naturalness, too, that's really, like, good to have. And just talking about everyday stuff and bringing a perspective to it that most people, like, I remember one of my greatest bits ever in my life was when I was like 11, and my mom had made me do lines, like, because I was a bad kid.
Yeah.
Like, I was a bad kid. Like my idea of getting attention was getting in trouble.
Okay.
So like my stepdad worked like probably 60 hours a week, and so like I'm like, oh, he's not paying attention to me. I'll go take his 50-year-old hockey cards and give them away at school. You know, like I wasn't all there. And so like I used to have to like write like, I will not steal my stepdad's hockey cards like a million times. And so like I remember being this kid and just being so frustrated at it that I came up with this whole thing about like how my hand was cramped from doing freaking lines, man. And like my mom just lost it.
Yeah.
And like my whole family's like dying because I'm doing this whole bit about me being punished.
Yeah.
And I realized like at 10 I was like, oh, all you have to do is talk about something everybody's been through.
Yeah.
But from an obscene perspective of it, right?
Yeah.
So it was pretty good.
Well, maybe that's why these women think I'm funny then, because like I'm a mom and talking about mom stuff. Because I don't know, if you ask the rest of my friends that have known me forever, they'll say no one thinks Talon's funnier than Talon.
You know what though? That even works. Like there's like those comedians who they're only funny to themselves, and everybody else is just frustrated. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I'm bad. Like I'm not like. I shouldn't like the comedians I like. Like I'm like Dave Chappelle and all those guys.
Oh, I love Dave Chappelle. Who doesn't love Dave Chappelle?
Well, lots of people, right?
Oh,
like
Ricky Gervais. He's so funny.
I can't remember the guy with the he wears like no shirt.
Oh, I don't know.
But it's just
Jim Jeffries? No. I don't know. Who's wearing no shirt? I don't know who this is.
I don't know. He's really funny. He's on Netflix. You can find him. Yeah. But even like the Asian girl, she's so awesome.
Ali Wong.
Yeah. Her whole perspective on things is so funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Like
I used to go to comedy shows all the time. Like I used to go to stand-up comedy, Yuck Yucks and stuff. Or like comedy festivals in the area in Kitchener-Waterloo. And my favorite comedian, he's from Toronto, Mark Forward. If you've never heard of Mark Forward, look up Mark Forward. Now. He's on like Letterkenny and Mr. D and shows like that. But I remember.
I know this guy. Yeah.
Oh, he's so funny. And so there was this one time on Twitter that he was. He said, "Whoever can guess my middle name can get free tickets to my show tonight." It was a show in Toronto. And so I was just rapid tweeting at him. I must have guessed like 120 names. And he's just like, yeah, okay, you got it. You get the tickets. Relax. and so I went and I took my friend Sarah, who lived in Toronto. Was in Toronto. And afterwards, like I went up and thanked him for the tickets and how funny it was. And then every time that he would come to Kitchener, he would tweet at me or send me a DM and say, hey, got some free tickets for you if you want to come. And I'd be like, oh my God, yes, thank you, Mark. And then like another comedian that had opened for him, who's also really funny, Graham Chittenden, maybe I'm not saying his last name right. He would sometimes do the same thing for me. And it was just like, I would get these free tickets because they knew I was just like a lover of comedy. And they also thought my tweets were funny on Twitter. So that also helped my self-esteem.
There you go.
It wasn't until this one night. So I was bringing a bunch of people to the show, and Mark had gotten us half price tickets because there was like 8 of us going or whatever. And we came in late, and my one girlfriend was really drunk, and she was like texting, and she was being loud, and like he kept calling us out and being like, Talon, like I got your friends in front row, half price, like what's wrong with your friends and stuff, and me being like super embarrassed, but like he made jokes about it and it was fine. But then after the show, like I went up to talk to him, and she came with me, and she kept like touching his arm and like saying things like, remember that time when Talon tweeted about her friend running over a median at Taco Bell? Like that was me, and I hit a curb, and like all this stuff. And he was just like, and then eventually the manager of the Yuck Yucks came over and was like, I need to talk to Mark for a minute just to clearly get him out of that situation. Never talked to me again. Never got free tickets. Never got tweeted at. And
Mark, what the heck, man?
I still hold my friend accountable for that.
I'm blaming Mark. I'm blaming Mark on this one. I'm like,
I know. One time, my ex and I even went for a drink with him after a show, and like it was really funny. He was a cool guy. I don't blame him for it. I don't.
I do.
My friend weirded him out of it.
Drunk people get a pass, man. Especially drunk females. They don't know what they're doing. Like once you get like 8 Smirnoffs in someone, there's no rules.
Oh, and she's a friend that does not know what she's doing when she's had a few. I'm not going to say her name because she'll be mad at me for it, but she
knows who she is right now.
She knows who she is. She full on blackouts, starts talking like Latin, like eyes rolling up the back of her head. Fully
she goes
possessed.
into like a full exorcism experience.
Yeah, me and my other girlfriend.
The Spirit of Christ compels you.
Me and my other girlfriend have a name for it when it happens, and like In fact, this friend does not like to drink for that reason because she doesn't know what she's doing and she doesn't remember it. But it kills me. Like I think it's hilarious. I think it's the greatest thing in the entire world.
There's like a whole bit right there.
Yeah.
You could totally build your like beginning career off Mark forward. You could just be like,
I guess.
This is where it started for me when Mark decided to ghost me. I had to get famous to get tickets again to his show.
I could actually do a whole bit just on that particular friend and moment.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she would love you forever for that. See, like I luck out. My dad passed away, so now I'm like free to like do anything I need to do to process that. So like I could totally go. Like I have, oh my gosh, like the stuff that happened in my life was so ridiculous. Sometimes I'm like, did that happen? Like I remember one time my dad had a bunch of people over, which always had people over. Like the culture, like they just people partied. Like when I say party, like partied, like the coffee table was off limits party. Like it's like there was powder. Yeah. So they're hanging out in the kitchen, drinking all night, and like I go to sleep on the couch, and my dad had this psychotic cat. Like psychotic, like you could not go near this cat. It's missing fur. One eye doesn't open all the way. Like that kind of a cat where you're like, is that alive? But my stepmom loved cats or something. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe my dad liked it.
I like cats too. And honestly, those cats are also my favorite kind of cats, are the crazy ones.
Yeah, just psychotic. So I'm sleeping and I wake up to the cat with its claws in my 7-year-old or 8-year-old leg biting me.
Oh.
And I'm screaming.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, my dad's been up all night. This is like probably like 4 or 5 in the morning now. So he's gone to bed maybe an hour. Comes walking out, full birthday suit. Just full birthday suit, wide open. Grabs the cat by the tail and just whips it against the wall.
Ooh.
Cat just drops to the ground. Jeez. I'm bawling, like just crying, right? My dad looks at me, he's like, go to sleep.
Oh.
Like no, like we're talking like no looking at the cat, no nothing. Just like, go to sleep, Cory. Yeah. Everything's okay now. Because he's so messed up. Like he's just trying to get back to bed. So then the morning comes, and I look over. The cat's still laying in the same spot, so we all know what's happened. And my dad comes out again, just full birthday suit. He's like, "Did I kill a cat last night?"
Oh,
it's like
Let's hope not. Was the cat okay?
No, the cat didn't make it.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, it was pretty traumatizing at 7. Now I can laugh about it because it like reminds me of the Boondock Saints thing where he hits the table and the cat goes bye-bye. But
that's one of my favorite movies. It's a good movie.
I'm going to have a whole bunch of cat lovers just being like, this guy's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You shouldn't talk about that.
You're really angering the cat lovers for sure.
And it's not that I think the cat had value. I give value to the cat, but I can't control what happened.
You had to find humor in that situation.
Yeah, and you can get mad at my dad all you want. He doesn't mind now, so. Yeah. Him and the cat are probably laughing about it,
They're hanging out.
Yeah, remember that time you threw me against the wall? Messed your kid up for like 10 years. I don't know. I don't know why everything's better with like that Boston feel, like go make me a sandwich.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everything's funnier that way. Like I always found that to be the funniest thing when people are like, oh, I love Ben Affleck as an actor. I'm like, number one, Ben Affleck is not an actor. Because he only plays a guy from Boston, and he is a guy from Boston. That'd be like a guy in a wheelchair playing a guy in a wheelchair and someone calling him an actor. It's like, no, that's his life.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck does that in every movie. Like, I don't even know how Batman all of a sudden came from Boston. But
yeah, I don't know. I really like Boston. I've been there once, and it was easily one of the best times I've ever had. And yeah, the Bostonians, is that what you call
Bostonians?
We're fun and cool and friendly.
Oh, dude, isn't like Bill Burr from like Boston or something?
Maybe, I don't know.
He should be. He's angry enough to be from Boston. I feel like we should have a podcast that doesn't relate to this one. Where like we have like you got to be over 18 to sign in, and let none of our friends know about it.
Yeah, I've been holding back a little on the language and whatnot because I want to keep it.
Yeah. You're talking about being a mom. You don't want to drop an F-bomb. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I never understood like when I entered church culture, like church people were not ready for me, and like they're like I think they're even less ready for me now.
Yeah.
Because like I love like my faith. It's like it's part of who I am. Yeah. But I'm also Cory. Like I've never lost that. Yeah. So I'm a bit of a sailor. Like it's just me. If you get to know me as a friend, you're gonna realize I'm a real person. Like. Yeah. And those are the best kind of people, man. Yeah. I'm not trying to impress nobody. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm chubby. I'm old. I got kids. I got a beard that's just curling like it's like Orthodox or something. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, you just be you. You just be you.
Some days, like I know you don't have this problem, but beards, like my beard's curly, so I have to like blow dry it out. And if I don't, like I feel like I could almost like have like those ringlets, you know?
Yeah.
Be like a WWF star from the chin down, you know? But yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah. So like he literally ghosted you. That's ridiculous.
I know. Maybe we'll tag him in this and
I'm gonna tag him. I'm gonna be like, you need to tune in at like an hour 15.
Is that what we're at, an hour and 15?
Yeah, we've been talking forever. Yeah. See, you were so nervous at the beginning.
I was nervous. I had what I like to call the nibs this morning.
The nibs?
Which is nervous ibs. And for anyone who doesn't know what ibs is, it's IBS, irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh.
I fully had the nibs. I was so nervous about it. And again, also my friends that know, it's funny that the friend that I was talking about earlier that when she drinks reaches a whole other level. She got married a couple years ago and I was in the wedding party and I was doing a speech, and for the good like hour before the speech, like you couldn't find me. And I guess my husband and my friend Ashley just looked at each other and were like, anxiety poops. She's in the bathroom, anxiety poops. That's where I was. Killed the speech though.
There you go. Yeah. That's the key. You got to kill the speech.
Yeah. Speech.
I don't know what happens. Like I know like I have faith in my life, so like the intelligent design people probably like me, but I'm like, there's not a lot of intelligence in this design sometimes. Like when I turned 30, pooping completely changed. Like when I was young, I pooped like once a week. Yeah. It was just like normal for me. Like I would just have these massive like Grand Canyon type poops. Yeah. But now it's like I poop every day. Yeah. And sometimes I'm not in control of when this is going to happen.
My husband's the same way. Usually twice a day, good amount of time in that toilet. I am so lucky. Okay.
I poop quick though. I'm lucky that way.
Okay, I'm a quick pooper too, but I'm so lucky that if I have a week where I'm pretty regular, like other than if I have something that makes me nervous and then I can't stop going, most of the time I'm just constipated.
See, we could just do a podcast whenever that happens.
We could. And if you want to talk like postpartum, let's talk about some postpartum pooping, because my goodness, like I love on that show Working Moms or whatever. And, and the ones that are already moms are talking to the ones that are about to be moms, and they're talking about how worried they are to poop themselves during labor, and they're like, that's not the poop you have to worry about. You have to worry about the postpartum poop, the cement block that's going to come out of there. Because after Reese had my 3-year-old, I was constipated for 14 days, and I was taking all the laxatives, all of the stool softeners. It was awful. And I finally, like on Christmas, I pooped, and it was like, this is the best Christmas gift ever. And
Santa answered your letter.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, not to say that when you poop during labor, it's not a real thing too. With Reese, I had an epidural. And when I was having the contractions, like I was on the toilet a lot. So I figured there was just nothing left in there by the time I was pushing, because I was in labor for like 35 hours or something insane like that. Oh. Yeah. And I had the epidural.
Do you like your kid at all?
Yeah.
Do you ever just have like moments of resentment where it's like 35 hours, kid?
I know. Well,
You're going to cut the grass twice a week.
Drugged for most of it. Like,
oh, that's good.
They gave me the morphine and laughing gas and then the epidural. And once you have the epidural, like you're sailing. It's
the
fun.
laughing gas is not cool. Like, it doesn't hit everybody the same. My wife, I saw her like going down the wrong like way, and I told the nurse, I'm like, you got to stop giving her that, and she's like not listening to me. And Chelsea had like a full blown like freak out from the natural. Yeah.
Oh, no, I loved it. I thought it was great. Well, with Reese, I apparently wasn't doing it right, so I didn't experience it that much with Reese, but I did experience the morphine and definitely the epidural. But with the epidural, like, you don't really feel when you're pushing. You're pushing as hard as you can, but you don't really feel it. And I just thought I didn't poop, right? Like, and so I've been telling people, like, for years that, like, I didn't even poop during labor with Reese and stuff like that. And then with Rowan, my girl, she went from 0 to 60, like came like a bat out of hell. And it like, so the midwife, oh my God, I just love this driver midwives. They're so amazing. But when I started having the contractions, told me to come down to the clinic and check me out. Okay. If we're going to get also, this is just might as well be about poop for the rest of this podcast.
Hey, poop talk is fine with me.
Okay. I mean, when you're a parent, like, you're not grossed out by poop talk. But so basically my water broke on the Tuesday, but nothing was happening by Wednesday morning. So she said, take a couple spoonfuls of castor oil. It's going to make you poop yourself, but then you're going to start having contractions. Right away it worked. Now I'm having contractions sitting on my toilet. I can't get off the toilet because I can't stop pooping. But so I called her and she's like, come into the clinic. And so Zach rushes me there and we get in, and I immediately have to go to the bathroom, and then she gets me up on the bed and she's like, okay, you're not dilated enough yet to get the epidural. Like, do you want to go home for a bit? And I'm like, you cannot send me home. Like, my 3-year-old or 2-year-old is traumatized just from me screaming on the toilet all morning. And I was like, can we just like go to the hospital and I can like take the laughing gas or something? And she was like, yeah, we'll go check you in and you can use the laughing gas.
So did you go all the way to Milverton for your midwife?
No, Stratford.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, and then it'll take me like 45 minutes to do the paperwork for the epidural. And then by that time, you'll probably be dilated enough that you can have it. And I'm like, okay, good. And so I'm up there and I'm doing the laughing gas properly this time. So it actually is working. And she comes over when she's done doing the paperwork and she checks me out. And she's like, okay, don't freak out, but you're 10 centimeters dilated. There's no time for the epidural and you have to push now. And I'm trying not to be angry at her because it's not her fault and she's super sweet and amazing. And so I'm like,
I'm trying. Okay. I'm trying not to be angry at her.
So now I'm going to feel it. Like, I'm feeling the pushing and the baby coming out and all of that stuff. But what I'm also feeling is shitting myself. And this midwife, because she's amazing, she's right up on the bed with me. She's trying to make sure there's as little trauma down there as possible, as little tearing as possible in there for me, because
she's got Pam out and
she's
like gloves.
She's just amazing and just ninjing my baby out. But I know that I'm pooping, and I know I'm pooping all over her, and all I can say is like, I'm so sorry, Justine, like, I'm shitting all over you. She's so sweet about it. She's like, it's fine.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to put a disclaimer on this for people.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
At about a minute 20, it goes down to another level.
It does. It goes to another level.
But that's a real experience that people go through.
And she was so, obviously that happens to her all the time. She's so nice about it. But I was so mortified and so sorry that, like, I'm in all this pain, I'm pushing this, but I just can't stop apologizing. And then later when I like talked about it and stuff, and I kept saying, like, in front of my husband, like, oh, I never even pooped in labor with Reese, Zach's like, stop telling people that. You did. You just didn't know that you were pooping. I was like, oh, I guess I never asked. I also, I had laser eye surgery a couple years ago, but when I had Reese, I had glasses or whatever and contacts, but I didn't have them in. So when in labor for 35 hours, why would I have those in? I couldn't see anything. So I wouldn't know if there was poop all over the place or not. I had no idea. So I was blind as a bat.
Childbirth is one of those things that people are like, it's so beautiful. And I'm like, it's not beautiful at all. This is like craziest experience of my life.
It's gross. It's very gross.
I remember when like Chelsea had the twins, they had to do like the C-section, and I wanted to watch because I'm like, I'm down. Like I could see everything, but they wouldn't let me, right? So there's this like curtain, and they're like, hey, we're gonna make the incision, and no joke, it sounded just like opening a pickle jar. I was like,
oh,
I was like, the heck was that? They're like, well, pressure builds up in the body. You know, I'm like, it was crazy. Like they just cut you open. It's crazy, man. Like the stuff we go through to get into this world is just outrageous. And then the fact that I think you probably like, you know, you revealed the hidden curtain, right? Like nobody wants to talk about pooping while they're pregnant and having a baby, and you just totally went there.
It's a real part of it. Normalize that too.
Yeah.
Get the stigma out of pooping while giving birth, because it happens to everyone.
For half a second, I thought you said get the stigmata. I was like, what? That'd be a horrible mix. But no,
No, it shouldn't be a taboo topic. It's real. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
See, that could be your catchphrase right there. It's a real thing. Yeah. That's a good one. I like it. I think everybody on here thinks you're hilarious. Tasha definitely does. Norleen is just losing it, which is awesome. And you know, like this whole experience, I feel like we did all the serious stuff first. We're like, here's our bare emotions, get something out of it here. This ends for us. You know, like this ends just about having some fun. You know, like, and I honestly I think that you should pursue it, because why not? What if you're really good at it?
Are you guys ever going to start serving alcohol here? Because I think it's really hard to get up there to a room full of sober people and and do comedy. It's terrifying.
I don't know. I think you have a good support system on open mic night that you should just do.
I was just going to say, like, all those girls are going to laugh because they think that I'm funny. So even if they're just drinking coffee and tea, they might still laugh.
I think they're probably more buzzing on the coffee than the alcohol. We have such like an Ethiopian like AAA blend that it hits your bloodstream pretty quick.
Jeremy that does the coffee?
No, so we have a friend. So this is so crazy, like the way everything happens. So like 10 years ago, we had a buddy. I still know him. He's still like a friend who roasted his own coffee beans. Yeah. And he's always just done it for himself, like, you know, friends, stuff like that, sold bags, hand-to-hand type thing. And so when we opened the cafe, we asked if he'd be like our brand, like our exclusive brand. So we have our own like artisan roaster.
It's good. It's very good.
No, I personally, and this is so bad to say because I help run a cafe, but I've never had a coffee. Like I've never eaten coffee. Eaten coffee. Never drank a coffee in my life. Is someone calling me when I'm online? I don't know who that is. So.
It's very good coffee. So for anybody that wants to come to open mic night, the music is good, the coffee is good, and if you sit in our corner, apparently the comedy is good.
The comedy. So I'm trying to get you up there, though.
I know, but like, no, people are up there to sing and do music and play instruments. I am not musically inclined. I cannot sing. I cannot play an instrument. And I'm terrified to get up there and tell jokes in case it just does not land well.
I think it's going to land well. I think people are going to receive it. Especially if you use the catchphrase, it's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
See?
Yeah.
It could even be a t-shirt. I like it. It's a real thing. Yeah, and then Mark's probably writing it down. He's like, it's a real thing. Thanks, Talon.
Yeah.
Like he's even going to listen. Mark, if you're out there, I'm calling you out, bro.
Can we be friends again?
You broke her heart, bro. Yeah. It's not even cool. You judged her based on her drunk friend.
I still go to your comedy shows every now and then.
Oh, is he still doing them?
I don't know. There was a Letterkenny one that he was part of. And
is he from like Toronto?
Yeah, he's from Toronto.
He's local?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm
support your local comedians, just like support your local makers.
You make us.
You make us.
Your local makers. You went all blasted on me again.
Yeah. Am I allowed to plug that there is a makers market on May 1st?
Yeah.
From 10 to 3?
No, you can't plug my wife's market.
I was just going to say your wife and Kaylee are putting on. It's going to be great. Great place to buy Mother's Day gifts.
Yeah, because you know you need them.
Yeah.
You're going to have to buy a bunch
I'm going to have to buy a lot. Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the Creatively Collective.
Yeah, May 1st at the Hub, 10 to 3.
If you're local, make sure you check it out. If you're not, make sure you come visit Stratford that day. Why can't I find this?
Why does the sound different? Is it? Oh, because you're just not talking to the mic.
Yeah, I just kind of was over here.
Yeah.
I wasn't right on. I shifted, but yeah, make sure you guys check that out. Yeah, are we done? Is this?
I think yeah.
Is this? Did you? We ended on shitting and labor.
Make sure you tell everyone they got to get to the end for the jokes. But oh man.
Yeah. No.
Thank you for having me though. Like
you can come back whenever you want. I think. If I don't get views from this, I better retire quick.
I'm super honored for you to ask me and to be on be the first guest in Bunker Talk. And
I feel bad for like the next person, like when I like invite like a real estate person or something on to talk about like nothing, and they're just not funny and don't talk about pooping and labor. So.
Yeah, you gotta follow this.
Yeah, you gotta. It's a pretty stiff drink. The end here, you know.
Drink, that's good.
Stiff.
Yeah.
Stiff.
Yeah.
But like your hero, Sarah Silverman. So.
Yes, I do love Sarah Silverman, and maybe I'll call on her podcast and ask if she'll listen to this podcast. She does this thing where you can call in and leave her a voicemail, and she'll listen to the voicemail and reply to it on her podcast. It's
you know,
really
you
fun.
should do is be like, it's a real thing at a minute like 15.
Yeah.
It's like the rest, I don't care if you listen to it, but the pooping and labor bit.
No, you got to get the build up. You got to get from the serious to the
build up.
To
it was really like the rope-a-dope, you know, like we're just like doing the emotional punching bag for like a good hour, then all of a sudden just left hook.
That's the thing with the humor and the coping. Like if you're deflecting, if you're not talking about the serious stuff before you get to the funny stuff to cope with it, that's the perfect progression. So you gotta talk about the serious stuff, you gotta deal with the serious stuff, and then you get to the humor as the coping part of it instead of the deflecting part of it.
I'm definitely gonna have to put, please don't play this while your kids are playing.
Oh yeah.
True crime murder, yeah. Oh man, no, that was I personally liked it. This is my very first episode. This will continue. It'll be available like on Anchor, I think is cool. They put it out on everything, I think. It's called Bunker Talk. We're just here to talk to real people with real lives, and hopefully they're funny because this was great because of that. I think you're funny.
Thank you.
I think
I also think you're funny. So there you go.
I've worked really hard at it.
Yeah.
You know, like it's one of those things, like for every sit-up somebody did, I learned a joke. You know, like for every book someone read, I went through something horrible.
Yeah.
So, you know, you come out of it with some material, you know.
Yeah. No, it's good. And I loved getting to know you and Chelsea and the whole group that comes to the bunker, and my neighbor Kaylee. And and it's really, really awesome. And I want to give them all shout outs for thinking I'm funny, and also shout out to my husband for being amazing and supportive and hilarious. And shout out to my grandma, and shout out to my mom, and shout out to my stepdad, and shout out to my drunk friend that I talked about and made fun of. And thank God I didn't use her name.
Yeah, you got to save that for your Netflix special. You got to drop her name on the Netflix special. It's like I'm pretty sure everybody has a Netflix special, so I'm pretty sure you can get one. That's
the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Well, I think it used to be. Now it's like they're just handing them out.
Yeah.
Like I was watching a guy the other day. I'm like, this guy isn't even funny. Like even Jeff Foxworthy came back. He's like, I won't do no network special. You know, like it's just like, and all he talked about was the good old days. And I'm like, dude, like so predictable. I love you. You're funny. Like he's funny. Like he's clean funny, which is hard. Yes, it is hard to be clean funny. Another thing that I like about Mark Forward, because his clean funny bits are, they're good. They're really good. I mean, they're not all clean, but the ones that are is like he's creative about it. It's good. I'm like totally obsessed with him now. I'm gonna totally like just pick on him forever. Be like, I totally Mark Forwarded that girl. Yeah. Just totally ditched her, ghosted her. Yeah. It's the new statement. If someone ghosts you, just say you've been Mark Forwarded. Yeah, hilarious. Forwarded to Mark. Oh, I hope he watches this. Me too. I hope he you got to send it to him. Got to be like, I know you don't like me anymore, but watch this podcast. I know my He probably doesn't even remember who I am. It was like 8 years ago, probably. I don't know. I'm a memorable person. He was giving you like free tickets. It wasn't like you were some rando fan. Yeah, like it wasn't like you were a rando. Like you know, like I'm sure he has those experiences too. But no, it's so bad. Like it's so hard to know too. Like with people who are in levels of fame, to what degree you can go. Yeah, like because you feel like you know them. Yeah, but it's like, do I know you? Yeah, exactly. Or were you that famous person the whole time? Yeah, you know. Yeah, that's true. I feel like comedians, though, it's a totally different vibe. They're the most real. Like, they're the most genuine, real, like, authentic to me. But maybe that's just because I'm obsessed with comedy and love comedy. So comedy's legit. Like, I remember even, like, the the CBC yuck clips just for laughs
yeah.
thing, like I remember seeing guys on there who became super famous, like Flight of the Conchords, like
they're funny.
the hippopotamus and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's business, it's
good.
business time, like just awesome stuff. But I've always been like scared personally of like mixing music and comedy, even though I can.
Yeah.
Because then you're no longer a songwriter, you're just a comedian.
That's not true. No.
Yeah, it's kind of true. Like Jack Black actually can sing.
Yeah, and he's fine.
But his music career is Tenacious D.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I love Tenacious D. I think they're hilarious.
Yeah, they're great.
And they play stages with millions of people.
Yeah.
But it's not like 30 years from now and like someone plays like a Black Sabbath song or something and they're like, wow, remember this? Like Marijuanaville's not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like the greatest song in the world, which I love, isn't going to do that. So my goal as like a musician's always been to keep it separate, but this year like I kind of like mixed it a little.
Yeah.
I did like a chicken wing song at the Hub and like people started laughing.
Nice.
And like I used to literally just go on stage and let people just throw stuff at me when I was a teenager and I'd make these songs up. Yeah. And I remember one time someone yelled out like spooning with goats or something and I had to like create a song about it.
Nice.
It was just ridiculous. But and like even like I think the best kind of comedy is when someone's super quick.
Yeah.
I love that. I love like when something happens and they just like totally shift gears and adjust. Like we were hanging out playing at the bunker and like my buddy's mom walked in and just for fun, like I just took like the Stacy's mom song and like switched it to his name and like he's drumming to it and then all of a sudden he's like, hey, you know, like just to mess with him, see what he did. But yeah, no, it's definitely a blast. Yeah. Who's your all-time favorite comedian?
Oh, Sarah Silverman, absolutely. Yeah.
I should watch some more of her. I haven't dove deep into that stream.
She's good.
I like when she roasts people. She's so funny.
Oh, she's great in everything she does.
She's also a killer actress.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Like, and can play anything and do it so well.
Yeah.
Like, the 1,000 Ways to Die in the West, I lose my mind. I laugh so hard at everything she says. She's so funny. She's
good. Sarah Silverman, Ricky Gervais, Mark Ford. I'll throw him in there.
No.
Throw you in there,
no,
Mark Ford.
He forwarded you, so gave you the 4. I really hope he watches it, and I hope that Mark come on my podcast. Yeah. I've had 1 episode. You could be episode 2, bro.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we're probably going to wrap this up because we're literally just rambling. Yeah, so.
We are.
Yeah, no,
off now.
I feel like we had a full course there. You know, we had the
great.
youth and social work, the parents and life, and
postpartum.
You know, that was so amazing. Thank you for sharing about that.
Thank you for letting me share about that.
Well, it's you know, like I think that the more that people become brave enough to share the stuff that they go through, the more that people won't feel alone when they go through it.
Yes. And there's a lot of support out there, like a lot of support that I didn't realize, like community support even.
Come on.
And there's an Instagram I'm following, the Moms of Stratford or something, and there's a seminar about postpartum coming up. I wish I had more details. My phone's turned off.
You can just drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
Because like if there's like honestly, if there's one person on here who's going through that who reaches out and gets help, you know, this was a huge success.
Yeah, like it I know it's the cliche thing, but it gets better. Like it's not going to be forever. You get through it, and again, that I really have to thank my friend who really helped me with it, recognize what was going on, and deal with it. And you know, for a while, we were even just like, because she was going through it too, we would just check in with each other every day. We'd be like, how are you at a scale of 1 to 10 right now, or today, or whatever. Like, and just having that. Like, you know, like I'm a 3, or actually I'm having a good day. I'm a 7, I'm an 8. Like it was really helpful. And there's so many avenues of support out there, whether it's therapy, getting on some medication, talking with somebody else who's going through it. Exercise is great for anxiety. Like just making sure you're eating and drinking water. Like drink water.
Drink some water.
Drink water. Yeah.
I'm horrible for that. Some days I'll be like, when did I have a glass of water?
And some days I have more coffee than water.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure there is water in my Coke Zero, all right? There's a lot of water in here.
Yeah. Anyways.
But, all right. Well,
again.
Thank you guys for tuning in. You can find, I hope it'll be on all platforms. I'm going to try to load it up. Also, our YouTube channel will have this on it eventually. There's like a 24-hour activation, and I did this all last minute. So,
nice.
Yeah. comedians, right? What are you gonna do? We're not comedians. I'm just joking.
We're not comedians.
I wish.
Yeah, I know. We're aspiring comedians. We're in our heads.
We're getting enough. We're getting enough material together.
Yeah.
You know, I got to live like at least 35 years before I start doing comedy. You know,
exactly.
That's my cutoff point. All right, I'm gonna do cool outro video, and then we'll be.